All right, today we are talking about red flags. We've got the red coat on today for red flags when it comes to teaming partners and subcontractors, in particular calling them, trying to get them to quote the jobs that you were going after so that you can team together. Now, you may or may not have experienced this yet, and if you're new, you probably eventually will. These folks, there needs to be red flags. They can waste your time. They can make you look bad to the government. They can waste your money. They can waste your focus. They can be a major distraction where they don't even show up to perform. They don't, help you with the proposals, the pricing, all these things that you need them to do. They can drop the ball. And this can, of course, just be very frustrating, take up a lot of your time. You can miss bid opportunities. You can miss site visits, right? So maybe you've experienced some of this, and if you haven't, you probably definitely will. So I'm sharing 10 red flags with you today to help you to avoid that so that you can spot these behaviors sooner. And these 10 red flags, they really are 10 behaviors so that you can know that it's probably going to happen. And you can decide early on to decide if you even want to continue working with these folks, or maybe you just have to be a bit more strict early on so that you don't, essentially get jerked around. So number one, I'm going to call this too easy. So it happens sometimes when you're calling a company that looks like they're a good fit to team with on an opportunity from sam.gov, and everything's just like too easy. It's so easy. You call them, you email them, you send them the statement of work. Everything sounds great. They sound super interested. And because it's a bid opportunity that you're really interested in, you start to feel really good because you're like, oh, I think I also have a solid sub on this as well. But it's too easy. And then something happens, right? Later down the road, for example, they attend a site visit, or maybe they start working on the proposal, and then they're just like, oh, well, you didn't tell me this, or I didn't know I was going to have to do all this, or I learned all this at the site visit, or there's other people at the site visit too. What's going on, right? And then they almost kind of get like upset with you and make it sound like you're wasting their time or that you're jerking them around. But in all reality, they just were not really engaged. They were just kind of like smiling and nodding at the whole beginning stages of the process. And then it can end with them being upset, and maybe they just end up walking away from it. And now maybe you don't have enough time to find other partners, right? And maybe you just have to say goodbye to the opportunity altogether. Sometimes this is preventable by you kind of putting more teeth and having a shorter leash early on. Because if you're seeing that things are just too easy and they're just really not engaged too much and they're not talking about their side of the situation, there's just not really a two-way street with this, it's very possible that with this too easy behavior that this ends up being a dead end, which means, again, like the deal may end up falling apart on the back end. So as we go through these, that's number one. Let me know if you've experienced any of these. If you're somebody who calls potential teaming partners and would-be subcontractors, have you experienced any of these? And maybe you have your own ideas. So number two, this one is if you're trying to talk them into the work. Like, are you trying to talk them into it? They seem very distant. They don't really seem interested when if you get them on the phone, right? Maybe they don't have knowledge of federal contracting, and that's okay. But it's used under almost a negative pretense that forces you to be in a position of almost having to sell them on this to quote it. So let me just tell you straight up, if you're interested in somebody and you're trying to date them and they're not really interested in you, then are you going to keep bugging them, or are you gonna, and maybe this isn't the best example as I'm thinking about it, because maybe you could keep bugging them and you get them to come around, right? But when it comes to federal contracting, if they're not interested in you from the get-go, why waste your time? I mean, at least, I'm not a relationship person, but I don't know. I know persistence pays and all that sort of stuff, but it's just it feels awkward. It feels forced. And if they're not interested in it and you did an adequate job of explaining it and they're just not into it, it's okay to walk away. So this can be a red flag almost for you if they're exhibiting this behavior and you just continue to pursue them instead of just trying to walk away. Like, it's a red flag because it's a sign that you shouldn't invest any more time in them. That's the whole point of all these red flags, is to save your time. It's an opportunity cost. Go to somebody else. Like, invest that time into somebody else who maybe is looking for more opportunities. Maybe they want to expand their business in the federal space. Maybe they have customers that they hate, but they can't get rid of because they need a revenue. And then with the first contract, they can get rid of them, right? There's got to be a motivator. There's got to be a reason, a why, that they would want to do this too. It's teaming. It takes two. It has to be a two-way street. And if they're just not into it, don't try to spin your wheels for too long trying to convince them. Like, just move on. Number 3, has a cage code. So I recommend everybody to look up companies in the SAM.gov space, right? Go to the entity, SAM.gov entity search by company name, and do various forms of the company name, like with and without the LLC, right? To see if you can pull them up, to see then if there is a cage code associated with their company. If they have a cage code, they can just be a backstabber. Like, they can appear that they're interested, and then they can just undercut you and go direct to the government. This happens all the time, and it's a big frustration for you guys, but I don't understand why you aren't going to the small length. It only takes a couple minutes to try to look them up. And if they have a cage code, just don't even bother, just pass. Or if they do have a cage code, let it be known up front, right? Make them sign the forms that they're going to be working, they're only going to pursue this opportunity through teaming with you. So NDA, whatever, right? That they're not going to be opening this up or going through it, direct. Otherwise, there could be legal consequences potentially. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get into like lawsuits or civil suits with people, but you do need to protect yourself. So doing diligence on the front end, if they have a cage code. Now, here's the thing. If you find out down the road that they have a cage code and they backstab you, don't blame them, because you literally invited in the beast. Now, if they lie to you and tell you that they don't, and you look them up and you can't find them, and then they actually do and they go direct, or they go through another company, that's what an NDA and certain legal protections in terms of agreements exist for. I mean, that's the point, right? So if you're getting hurt by this, there's something that you're not doing. Like, you're missing part of the process. You know what I'm saying? Either you're not doing your diligence or you're not putting in the proper documentation to protect yourself, and then you're continuing to have conversations and tell them about the opportunity and work with them to a certain point until they have an opportunity to stab you in the back and cut you out. So this is like a really, really big one. So any of the red flags, especially having a cage code up front to prevent and to allow you to change what you're going to do before you get that far. Like, hey, we're only going to, you're going to do this, I'm going to do this. I know you have a cage code, we're going to team. It's going to be great, but then you start off from the get-go. Or you just pass if you don't want to do something like that. Pass on to the next. Save yourself the heartache, please. Next. This one is, they won't get on a call with you. And some of you, again, a lot of these guys, it's just as much your responsibility, right? So if you're only emailing and you're like, oh, but they didn't give me the proposal by the end, they didn't meet the deadlines I gave them. I hear this a lot, actually. You haven't even spoken to the person. You're trying to be efficient, maybe, and you're just emailing so many people, like, give me a quote, give me a quote, give me a quote. And then when they don't follow through on what you asked them to do, you're like, oh, this is BS. You're supposed to be building a relationship, guys. This is not a transaction. You're still treating it like a transaction. If you haven't even spoken with a person, I would not accept a quote from them, even if it supplies. I mean, I would be more apt to if it supplies, but we don't focus on that anyways. So for services, we are getting on the phone with somebody. If they don't want to get on the phone with you, it's a red flag. Pass, next, swipe, because if they don't have time for you then, and this ties into some of the others, then what makes you think they're going to have time for you down the road? They're not serious. They're not committed. You don't even have an opportunity to vet them. You don't even have an opportunity to see if you would even want to work with them. There's just so many things that you can't do without having a discovery call, a conversation with somebody. So, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of you invite the beast in, again, because you just want to hide behind emails, because you think you're being efficient. Well, how efficient is it to do all of that work and then to have somebody that says they're interested and then have them miss deadlines? Because that's what happens. So in the end, it's not very efficient at all. It would have been better for you to spend the extra few minutes having a real conversation to vet somebody, see if they're interested, to see why this makes sense, see why it makes sense for you both to do this together. That way, they're more buttoned up, you're more buttoned up, you guys have taken a step forward together. There's no commitment through over emails, okay? So just stop it with the emails, okay? It's fine after you've established a connection, there's a bit of a relationship in place, like for sure. Everything doesn't need to be a phone call. But do not try to build relationships through emails. And also, because you're not, and if you're not trying to build relationships, that's the whole problem from the get-go, okay? And if they don't want to, but you're trying, then that's a big red flag and you just pass. So, where were we? Next. Similar but different. The rusher, like they rush you. So you get them on the phone, but they're like very distracted. They're just like, yeah, send it to me in an email kind of thing, right? It's similar to the last point. They're also not very committed. They're also not very serious. If they can't give this the attention, that's fine. But you guys sometimes get so, you're so like into the deal and you're so excited in the actual bid opportunity, you overlook red flags like this one where they're rushing you and then eventually they end up getting off path down the road again, wasting your time, not attend site visits, send the proposals late, you know, maybe they have no idea how to do the pricing because they have questions, but they don't send the RFIs by the deadline. Like there's so many things, right? So if they're rushing you at the early stage, if it's not a good time for them, like let them reschedule another call with you where they can be focused. But if they just act like there's no time to be focused, what they're telling you is they don't have time for you. And if they don't have time for you, you shouldn't give them your time. You should pass, you should move on and go to the next. It's a red flag. And if it means you can't pursue an opportunity, guys, don't get so invested in these bids. Don't get so invested in these opportunities. Get invested in the deal. And the deal is there's you, there's an opportunity, and there's a teaming partner, right? And if you get all those lined up and everything seems good after all of that, cool, get invested somewhat. But you don't even have a deal. So what are you getting so excited about just because you saw something on sam.gov that's like in your city or, you know, you have the perfect person to work with? Like, well, that doesn't mean it's a good deal yet. Okay, so you have to go through all these. So if they try to rush you, screw them. Okay, next. Not quoting right now. One of the first questions when calling is you're like, hey, I want to get a quote. I want to talk to somebody in sales, right? So you make sure you're talking to the right person first. And they're like, oh yeah, that's me. Like, how can I help you? Well, you let them know, well, I have a job that's in your location, in your area, and I'm doing research on companies to team on this project, found that you were local, looks like this is exactly what you guys do. So I just wanted to call you to talk to you more about it, to see if you are quoting work right now for this, and this is the type of work that you're interested in continuing to go after. And they'll tell you, oh, we're booked up for this season. Okay, that's fine. But because you asked that right away, no harm, no foul. Maybe in the spring, like whatever, right? But you could kind of waste your own time if you don't ask this. Odds are they will probably not be too shy about telling you. But if they don't, and you're just talking to them about it, right? Now you're you're putting yourself at risk as the cage code one, number 3. Like, you open yourself up, you invite the beast in a little bit, because you tell them all this stuff. Maybe you talk for 15, 20 minutes. And then at the end of it, it's like, oh yeah, well, sounds great, but we're not quoting work right now. Well, why didn't you tell me at the beginning? It's because you didn't ask. So you didn't ask. So we want to make sure that we ask. And if they are being upfront with you saying, hey, appreciate it, but we're not quoting work right now, we're full. That's fine. I mean, that's respectful. They're being respectful of your time. So give them that opportunity to do it. And I call it a red flag only because it means at that time too, you shouldn't move forward with them. So it's not like a red flag in terms of it's bad or whatever. It's just a red flag in terms of it's not going to be a fit for you, so you shouldn't invest any more time into it, right? Obviously, something that you want to find out sooner than later. And obviously, it's for me, it's like one of the first questions we're asking. Next, has been burnt before. And this one, have a lot to say about this one, or at least I feel passionate about this one. Has been burnt before. So here's the thing, guys. There's a lot of other companies like you, government contractors, federal contractors, that are calling around too. If you've been in the space for a little while, you may have even noticed that when you do call, they're like, oh yeah, someone else already called me on this one. So now, of course, you would never do this, but there's a lot of bad federal contractors out there that use and abuse these companies that make it harder for us federal contractors who try to build legitimate and respectable teams. Others will just send folks on site visits and never even call them again because they decided not to go after the opportunity. Maybe have them drive an hour one way. Some of these federal contractors will have them go through the whole motion, and they'll submit their proposal to the prime, and then if they don't win, they'll never even give the sub any feedback or let them know, hey, we didn't get it, better luck on the next one that we do. Some sort of closure, you know what I mean? It's sloppy. It's very sloppy. And so when you deal with, and when you speak with a subcontractor who's been burnt before, they're going to be cynical, and you can't even blame them. So you have to decide when you get folks like this on the phone, you have to decide what you want to do. One option is you can try to overcome their objections and share how you are different and to acknowledge that there are shitty companies out there and you are not one of them. And you could potentially overcome that objection, but just know you may not always be able to, depending on how bad they got burned. And if they've been burnt that bad or they just continue to be cynical, maybe they even will begrudgingly say, oh yeah, send it to me, but I don't know. If it's like that, just pass. Just move on. It's not gonna work. You're gonna get further down the road and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, then they're gonna start seeing red flags in you, right? Because they're traumatized and they're looking for it. And anything that you do that isn't exactly the way that they want, they're gonna hold it against you and they're just gonna dip. So if they're that bad, they're that cynical, just pass. If you think it can be saved, if you think you can show that you are different and you will communicate with them, you will give them feedback, there's no guarantee that you will win, but you are invested in this as much as they are, and you would very much like to work with them. See how it goes, right? They may have other instances where they even got as far as to being in a relationship, working on a contract, right? And then maybe the prime didn't pay them. They didn't pay them on time. Maybe it was the government's fault, right? But these are all reasons that can really affect, traumatize, and prevent subs who have a history in the federal space from wanting to move forward, okay? And they're not gonna be shy about letting you know. So again, you'll have to decide if you wanna overcome that or if you just wanna pass. Next, doesn't ask any questions. And this is akin to one or two others that we've already covered. And I will say questions as it relates to, say, the statement of work and say the site visit, right? So you send them the statement of work. They're like, yeah, no, looks good. They go on the site visit. Yeah, everything's pretty straightforward. And then when they start putting together a proposal for you, maybe they have to respond to the technical. Maybe they'll just sit on it. Or they'll just write something short, but they won't do a good job at giving you what you ultimately need. And it's because they didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask any questions on the site visit. They didn't ask any questions to you about the statement of work. And now that they actually have questions, they have unknown things that's required for the proposal because they don't have those answers. They're just putting together something really crappy. And maybe their deadline is a couple days before your deadlines. And so they give it to you all the way at the end of the timeline. And you're like, what is this? What is this? I can't submit this. This is trash. This is garbage. This is not what the government's asking for. This is not going to be acceptable. And then they're like, well, we don't know the answers. It's like, okay, well, why didn't you ask me? Why didn't you ask the questions in the first place? So it is a big red flag if they are not asking questions, and they should be asking questions from the get-go. It's the more questions they ask, the better, right? Because if you're going to be doing something and you seriously intend to do something, you're going to be thinking through it, which means you're going to be asking a lot of questions, getting a lot of clarifications. If you're going along with something and you know that you don't really have any strong intentions to follow through with it, it's very easy to just be disengaged and just nod and say, okay, sounds good. Yeah, this is exciting. And then when they actually need something from you, it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, this is the best I got. Take it or leave it. It's like, why didn't you tell me this from the get-go? And again, it's your fault, partially as well as a prime. And I'm trying to teach you with these red flags. If they're not asking questions, it's just a ticking time bomb. You're just wasting your own time to get to the end because they still may never ask questions, but then they may not give you the information in the way that you need it. They may just skip it. They may not understand something. The RFI period may pass and then it's too late to get questions answered from contracting. All these things can be so frustrating for a prime when your teaming partner is not asking anything, right? So it's a big red flag if they are not. Next, we have more of the free agent. They don't want to sign an NDA, okay? And I have mixed thoughts on this. Typically, after you have that first discovery call with them and you're sending them over the statement of work, you're going to have them sign a one-page NDA. So you're going to have them sign a one-page NDA because you need to protect yourself, right? You want to make sure that they're serious. If they just oh, I'm not signing anything, boy, you need to, okay. If they won't sign a simple NDA, I mean, they could send you their NDA for all you care, right? Just make sure that it has the basic requirements in it. If they won't sign that, it's like they're not really serious. It's standard business process. And let me tell you, things only get more formal when it comes to the federal government. Say you get into a contract and they want to see wages, They want to see certified payroll. They want to see wage determination, anything that the sub would have to provide or demonstrate and show to you, the prime, so that you can show that to the government. I mean, there's deliverables, those all sorts of formalities that they're going to have to jump through. If signing a simple NDA is something that's going to scare them away, save your time. Save your time. And you don't have to run away from it, but definitely give them a chance. Explain that, this is just for your protection and for mine. This could be a point, if you haven't mentioned it yet, that this is for a federal contract. This is for, the agency, the base, the department, the location, the office, in your city, 15 minutes away from you. That's why I'm calling you, right? So this is going to be for a federal contract. And very often, your federal solicitation will require an NDA to be in place as well, between you and the government, which could also become a flow down, right? So there's just many reasons, and it shouldn't be that hard to understand why an NDA needs to be in place. If they're unwilling to sign it, I call that a red flag. If after you explained it to them, they still are refusing, I think it's just a sign of things to come, and it's only going to get harder with additional formalities. Now, there are times where, say something's really short notice, right? And they can just like sign it after, they can sign it later. If you're doing something on a very, very short timeline, we don't have to be overly formal, but I will let you be the gauge of that. If your contract isn't requiring it, if there's no flow down and it's just for you, I will let it be at your discretion. If they say, we'll work with you, but we're not signing an NDA, and if you're comfortable with that, you want to open yourself up to risk or what could come from that, and you should definitely ask them why. You're entitled to an answer why if you're going to move forward with them. Why don't they want to sign it? Oh, we just don't sign anything. That's not a good enough answer. What do you mean? You're going to have to sign other stuff, so are you really in this or not? Like what? I don't really understand. Like, why don't you want to sign the NDA? Unless, maybe they want to go direct, they want to cut you out. Like, does it hide their intentions? And that's what I'm trying to spare you of. That's what I'm trying to save you of. But again, I will let you be at your own discretion and potentially even, of course, learn your own lessons. And let me know how it goes. Let me know if you have insights onto that NDA point. This one also is kind of fed through a couple of different ones we've already covered, but doesn't honor deadlines for proposals. And this is just like, they do the site visit, they ask the questions, they do everything else right, but say questions are due by a certain date and they didn't provide them. Okay, that's part of the proposal, right? Pricing is due by a certain deadline. Like, you should be breaking their deliverable, like their proposal deliverables to you down into, days or potentially weeks if it's a large requirement, or a requirement that's, 30 days out or something like that. Break down what they need to give you into milestone dates, right? That way you know what they're working on. That way they're not just like sitting over there overwhelmed. They're just going to give you everything all at once at the end, and you're like, what is this? There's issues, things like we already talked about. So you can help them to not miss their deadlines. But if you are doing that and they're still not honoring the deadlines, you have to have a hard parenting conversation at that first deadline that's missed, because it's probably going to be a sign of things to come on future potentially more important deadlines. Like, they could make you miss the whole proposal submission from the get-go, right? Or what it's going to be like to work with these people. Start of work is on this day. Are they going to show up on time? Are their employees going to show up on time? Like, how is this going to, right? So usually how one person does one thing is how they do everything. And I forget what quote that's from, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if they are exhibiting behavior of missing deadlines, they're probably going to miss a lot of other important things. And that's going to make you look really bad to the government. Might even cost you a proposal, might even cost you a contract. It just depends. You don't know how bad it could get, but deadlines are very important in federal contracting, and it starts with the proposal stage, inclusive of site visits and RFI questions. If they are not cool with that, then you are not cool with them. That is a hard pass, okay? That is a hard pass. What red flags have you experienced if you've been someone who's been calling around? I want to hear the stories. Like, don't hold back. Write the paragraph. Is there anything that I haven't covered? Maybe you've experienced some of the ones that I have covered. Put it in the comments. Now, I also have my Win Contracts Fast Without Wasting Time and Money training. Okay, it's brand new. It's 30 minutes. Highly recommend it for everybody. There's no cost. There's no expense. It's totally free. It's going to put you on a path for like a 12-month game plan, and I recommend everybody be on that 12-month game plan. But the thing is, you can only do that 12-month game plan if you stop doing some of these other things that you're doing. So before we get into the game plan, I basically slide a bunch of stuff off the table for you in the training, and I give you permission to not do certain things. And I flesh them out very specifically. And then after that, it's like, okay, we have a clean slate. Okay, you're saving time, you're saving money. Now you're going to invest that into doing these things. And then that's the 12-month game plan. So for anybody who doesn't have their game plan going into 2026, I highly recommend you go through that Win Contracts Faster without wasting time and money. It is just no fluff. It's transparent. It's no BS. And it's 30 minutes. Link for that is in the description below. If you are needing other support, funding, financing, factoring, you can email us, support@govkidmethod.com. It's the busy season. We're in award season. If you find yourself with an award in hand and you need support, email us. We'll do what we can to support you. We do have a number of partners that can support you depending on the nature of your deal. If you are a company that is established and you're trying to add your company to the federal space and you're so busy running your existing business, you just don't really have the time to dedicate to the proposals, we also have a fully fledged proposal house that can write your proposals for you. Okay, it's an investment, and you will be pushing out 5, 10, maybe more proposals every single month. Right, that will be done on your behalf, and we can share more details with you. But of course, you have to have the budget. So if you're an established company that's needing support on that facet, we can also help you. Shoot us an email, support@govkidmethod.com. You guys know that I'm really in the training and education side of government contracting. That way you can learn how to do this yourself. So we have a number of courses, including my flagship course. I have my book, The Legal Middleman Method, right? And we recently just kicked off our 90-day bid challenge, where I will work with you to respond to 10 federal contracts over the next 90 days. If you have any questions about those resources as well, shoot us an email and we can point you in the right direction. We're not currently enrolling any more for this cohort, but we will be opening up again in a little bit. And you can be part of the next one for the 90-day bid challenge if you would like to. Lastly, guys, if you want your daily dose of federal government contracting, I'm doing videos every single day. Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Watch the premiere with me every single morning, Monday through Friday. We have new trainings for you. I'm being very committed and serious about growing out our YouTube channel. The algorithm kind of turned on us, and we lost a lot of our growth. So subscribe if you're watching this right now and you like my transparent BS, no fluff approach. We need all the subscribers that we can get to get things back on our side, because what I share is the truth behind federal contracting that you don't see on a lot of other channels. And I'm passionate about being transparent, and I'm passionate about telling you the ugly truth, even if you don't want to hear it, because I'm here to actually treat you like a best friend rather than somebody that I'm trying to like get something out of or take advantage of, right? I'm not trying to tell you what you want to hear. I'm trying to give you what you need, whether you want to hear it or not, okay? And I think our channel is really desperately needed more than ever. So your like of the videos, helping with the algorithm, your comments, your subscribing really helps to get these trainings and videos out to other small businesses that really need them, again, especially in this day and age. So like, subscribe, comment, do everything that you can to help us out, and share our videos, of course. You have a friend, you have a business person, share our videos, but I probably don't have to tell you to do that, right? So again, if you're looking for something else, jump into that training. Win contracts fast without wasting time and money. Link for that is down below. And until next time, guys, you got this.